Well, youth justice is very important to the Tao Foundation because we were looking for an area where a small family foundation could really have a big impact on the most significant number of young people in Connecticut and beyond. And we learned early in our research about the juvenile justice system and became very interested in how our foundation could possibly support programs and services for young people and their families who are in the system, and that soon led us to thinking about advocacy and systems change so that we could help not just individual young people, but large populations and getting laws changed. And that became very exciting for us at the Tao Foundation. That the Youth Justice Institute at University of New Haven has become a place where people go to get information. It's been an example for others, and it's had effect on tens of thousands of young people, and we're just so proud to be a part of it. We love that in New York, the Youth Justice Institute at the University of Albany really learned from University of New Haven and has replicated their own version of this model. So we see the implications both locally and nationally and beyond. And we couldn't be happier about our investments and how things have turned out.
Well, I think we start with the people that organized and developed a movement in Connecticut to address the issues that juveniles had in Connecticut as a group. We first started out as sort of a grassroots organization of people that worked hard with the judiciary system to try and develop a system that allowed juveniles to actually be addressed. I wanted to give kids an opportunity to be kids. And by doing that, I met Bill Carbone, and he was working for the judicial system. And we worked together with the judges and the prosecutors and the public defenders and the advocates to actually do what's called Raise the Age. Over the 10 years, we started out, remember, when we started this, children were arrested for not going to school. Children were suspended and expelled from school regularly. What we did was we started looking at all the aspects of how families were being integrated in this, and how do we support families in having their development with their families, with their children that they have. A lot of kids, because of things that were not necessarily available to them, or they did not have that support in their community or their families, needed to have opportunities provided to them. So we worked on different types of programs through the Tao that were giving kids more opportunity to share being an adolescent, to have an opportunity to talk about the things that have impacted them. I think what the Tao Institute has done for Raise the Age and juveniles is focus on policy. Their focus on policy has changed the face of juvenile justice. They gave us a platform to actually learn and grow. It wasn't just a policy, it was a movement.
Well, it's about the future, isn't it? Because the young people today will be the adults of tomorrow, and we ask ourselves the question, what kind of adults do we want them to be? And I think we want them to be law-abiding, we want them to be productive, and we want them to be successful citizens of our country. And we've learned that many children, are born into circumstances that are very challenging, whether it's dysfunctional homes or perhaps, failing academically, perhaps living in very high crime areas. And so the chances of them getting into the juvenile justice system are directly related to the circumstances of their birth. Young people who will, instead of having a life that's involved in crime, they will have a life of being able to go and get their education and get a job and become tax-paying citizens. So it's an important thing for our country. Have these kids make contact with the system, especially multiple times. It actually makes them self-label. and they begin to look at themselves as bad, as delinquent. And the consequence of that is that they tend to live up to what they think are society's expectations of them. So if we know this, don't we have an obligation then to do something affirmative about it?
So one of the great things about the Tao Youth Justice Institute is that the majority, if not all of our work, is done in a very collaborative nature. The majority of the partners are the ones that we collaborate with to help us to come up with strategies for how to improve the system. They're the ones that are working with us in the sense of letting us know, hey, are we doing it right? Are we not doing it right? What's missing? They're the ones that are really driving to help to drive what recommendations we bring forward in our state for improving services, improving the infrastructure of our systems, and anything else that may impact our young people. They're the ones we look to, and so they are very critical to the work that we do. We want to expand our collaborative network of who we're working with. So when we talk about, we started off, our focus was on juvenile justice. And for many years now, we have said it's not just about juvenile justice. We know that our young people are multi-system involved. And so we should be working within all those systems that connect or touch our young people and family. So I would like to see our institute broadened, not only in the sphere of juvenile justice, but across multiple systems. So I think that when people look at the Tao Youth Justice Institute, or when other entities look at the Tao Youth Justice Institute, I want them to be able to see that we are approachable. I want them to be able to see that we're willing to partner. We want to be partners. We want to make connections, and we want to be part of informing the decisions that are being made day to day that impact our young people.
Bill and I started working together when I ran the Juvenile Justice Minds and was advocating for changing the age juvenile jurisdiction. And he, we would ask a question, and it always came down to money. Can we afford to make the change? And I think Bill, at different times, had said we can't afford not to. And really sort of pushed the issue sort of internally with his own advocacy and made it doable. And he's one of the large reasons that the change occurred. Then later on, when he was directing the Tao Institute and staffing the JJPOC, Bill and I sort of agreed that one of the biggest problems within the system at that point was really the lack of education. I mean, how could you fix education? Because that is the key to keeping people out of prison. And so Bill and I did quite a bit of work on trying to transform it. Still work that has to be finished, and it's not fully completed. But it was, sort of his ideals and his ability to bring in some really amazing people to the Tao Institute that allowed us to do the planning and what was needed to really change the course for education in the JJ system.
This program challenged me to see the world through different lenses. It solidified the importance of collaboration, but it also validated my passionate inner being as to remaining persistent in my pursuit of excellence. In all that I do, in the various roles that I play, which are that of father, husband, system stakeholder, and community member. I am now more driven and resilient than ever before as a result of Tao, and for that I am truly grateful.
It took me personally out of my comfort zone and gave me opportunities to network with folks who are doing the work as well, and networking at all different levels of leadership. And within different organizations, you had the frontline staff, but as well as some of those folks who make a lot of the decisions, and hearing everyone's perspective and what they bring to the work, it really opened my eyes a lot to the different things that our youth face and the different perspectives of the providers in those situations.
Bill's a visionary, and I think he had an idea of what he wanted to create, and I'm really lucky to have been there from the beginning to see the seeds of that grow and really take root over the last 10 years. So where that project, the Tao Youth Justice Project, now has tons of great people working for it. And its reach is everywhere. Know how our publicly funded systems are actually working for children and families, to conduct rigorous examination of what we're doing and what we're getting, and to challenge ourselves about where we want to be. And you need tables to do that. You need them, because how else are you going to do that work? Otherwise, the work is siloed, and if we're not constantly inventorying and challenging ourselves collectively, we cannot move forward with the speed and optimism that we need. So TAO works on behalf of Connecticut's children in a variety of ways, right? By administering these committees, bringing folks together in subcommittees and working groups as issues are identified and need to be fleshed out more, whether it's how kids re-enter the system from incarceration, or what the educational needs of kids are. TAO's team has been very good at compiling information and putting together public policy issue briefs for members of the public and the media and legislators to be able to rely on, that synthesizes key information about the juvenile justice system or the children's mental health system, and provides some direction and options to members, and gathering best practice information and research, so that we're making informed decisions and informed investments in the children's behavioral health and juvenile justice systems.
Well, I think a lot of people are really looking to us to, and when I say us, I'm talking about the TAO Youth Justice Institute, to make sure that we keep all the stakeholders involved, to share with them the research that our faculty and our students are doing, to try to convert that research into new policy recommendations for the state officials to consider. And I think we're at a very good point when the state is looking to an academic entity to study and to make recommendations based upon what the evidence suggests is best needed.
The TAO Youth Justice Institute has absolutely carried out the vision and we had for it. In fact, it's exceeded it in many ways, on so many different levels.